Welcome to hbrv Lifestyle, the podcast. I am the host, the Honey Badger, here to give it to you straight and transparent about the RV business, as well as other things. Winnebago is closing a motorhome plant, a motorhome factory. And that's nothing small. They can spin it however you want to, but that is a huge step back for the entire motorhome market. But before I go into that, we need to talk about Brinkley RV. A lot of you are super upset with me, thinking I'm just this mean person for calling out Brinkley for cutting corners and creating the recall they did. Okay, 3,157 units affected. This is not a small number. This is a large number. It's not like 50, 60, 12, 126. This is almost 3,200 units affected, which means that the entire building process, they used too small of wiring for the refrigerator, for the 12-volt refrigerator. The entire time for 3,200 units almost. I'm not here to beat up Brinkley. That's not my job. That's not what I'm here for. But I'm here to make sure that everyone is educated that Brinkley is not perfect. They are at the same level as Forest River, Keystone, Jayco. They're at the same level. There's nothing special about them. Is the fit and finish eyeball-wise look better? Sure. But there are folks that have reached out to me and told me that they think Brinkley looks like crap. And they think that Jayco Pinnacle is the best fit and finish in the industry. It's all in the eye of the beholder. There are people that are going to look at interior design and they're going to make their own judgment on what they feel fit and finish is. That's plain and simple. Brinkley is trying to put themselves above. They're trying to market themselves as mobile suites for less money. That's the way they market themselves. So that's why when I compare them to Mobile Suites or Redwood or Riverstone by Forest River, it's because they put themselves in that position. The salespeople at the dealerships have put themselves in that position. I didn't. Brinkley is what Brinkley is going to be. They're going to be an average manufacturer of RVs, independently owned. And if you know the history of the owners, you know what the next step is after year 4 or 5. Right? So the reality is do they do something? Do they have a unique look on the exterior? I actually kind of like the look of them. I like the exterior look. I really do. I think the exterior look of the fifth wheels look pretty badass. I'm not going to lie. They look badass. I've looked at videos of them. They're nothing special on the interior. They do nothing really that different from everybody else, but their choices of interior design. Now, I'm going to assume, and it's an assumption because I don't know, that more than likely a lady designed the interior of these. And if that's so, that's another possibility why the look of the fit and finish looks good. But just wait until I get a hold of one, folks. Wait until I'm actually able to do a walkthrough of one. One day I'll be able to. One day a dealer is going to let me do it. One day I'm going to get into a show before everybody else, use a master key, unlock one, and give you an actual peel behind the scenes and show you what the real reality is. You know, it's just like, here's a great example, okay? And this is a bad example. I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, okay? But I'll take the hate. You know, it's like, okay, so when my wife gets a couple of zits on her forehead or a zit on her cheek or something, when we're going to go out to dinner, she pounds that makeup on to try to conceal that zit. I always say when an RV looks too pretty, what are they trying to cover up? especially when they're cheaper than the high-end stuff. When they're less expensive than a mobile suites and they advertise themselves as a mobile, pretty much a mobile suites level fifth wheel for less money, what are they concealing? So those are the questions that I have to ask. It doesn't mean I'm a hater. It doesn't mean I have ulterior motives. My job, or at least I feel like my job is to communicate and educate you from the dealership perspective. Not from the sunshine and rainbows perspective, not from the Armageddon perspective, but get you real life thoughts. Because here's a fact. This is a fact no matter what. I could tell you everything that is bad about Brinkley when I get a hold of one, and people will watch the video and still buy them. But they're educated on what's wrong, what could go wrong. That's more my mission, is to educate you guys so when something does go wrong, it's not Armageddon. It's, oh yeah, he talked about that. This is what Brinkley does, that where Brinkley cuts corners. This is where Forest River cuts corners. This is where Jayco cuts corners. That's the main thing, guys. Is Brinkley handling it better than Grand Design is handling frame failure / frame flex? Absolutely. But remember that a lot of the owners of Brinkley RV were owners of Grand Design. So just keep that in mind. Keep in mind the history of the owners. So even if you decide, hey, I'm going to buy a Brinkley no matter what because I like the interior design, I like the weight, I like the way maybe they used a Gen Y hitch, I like a lot of things about them, the history doesn't matter to me, but at least you know the history and at least you know what you're getting yourself into. That's the worst thing, is to think something's perfect and something's going to be absolutely perfect and nothing's ever going to go wrong, and then something goes wrong. It's the worst thing ever. And that's where that's a good tie-in into this Winnebago closure of a factory. So they're closing basically a factory that built a lot of their Class B motorhomes. So a lot of your van conversion stuff. So just think about this. Winnebago, to me, has been the best overall motorhome builder, and that's an opinion. They've been the best builder of motorhomes since I got in the industry. They may not be the prettiest. Far from it. They're not the prettiest. But they do things that other manufacturers don't do. Okay? For the most part, 70 to 75% of the motorhome is manufactured by Winnebago, not assembled, manufactured. 25%, like your appliances, some seats, inverters, converters, stuff like that. All those little components, those come from vendors. But your cabinets, a lot of your seating, a lot of your recliners, your dinettes, everything is built inside Winnebago. Not the towables, just the motorhomes, not the towables. Not that I'm aware of, at least. Unless that's changed in the last 2 or 3 years. Pardon me. So them closing the motorhome plant signifies and signals that new motorized product is 3 things. Number 1, too expensive. First and foremost, too expensive. Look at it from this perspective. So I used to sell the Winnebago Vista. A Winnebago Vista, brand new, I would sell for $79,900 back in 2015. That same motorhome today invoices for over $125,000. That's how much the dealer pays. So the dealer is paying either double, a little less than double, or a little more than double what they did in 2016. And they're paying almost 80% more than they did in 2019. So it went from an entry-level Class C motorhome like a Winnebago Mini Winnie, a Thor, 4 Winds, Jayco, I can't remember the name of the Jayco off the top of my head, your Forest River Sunseekers and Foresters, your Coachman Leprechauns. These were all family-friendly, budget-friendly, Class C motorhomes. They are now for the ultra-rich, because now they are over $100,000 dealer cost. We're not even talking about before they make their 7 to 9% profit margin. We're talking about just what they pay. You know, an entry-level diesel pusher, a good entry-level diesel pusher would cost you 130, 140 grand wholesale. Now that same motorhome is over $225,000 dealer cost. So motorhomes have priced themselves completely out of the market, where it's really just for the ultra-rich. So used motorhomes is where the big market is. So I've talked to several used RV dealers. As long as their motorhomes are priced correctly, according to the market, they can't keep them in stock. I talked to 4 people I know that are deep in credit unions. They have given out more motorhome loans in the last 3 months than they did the last 6 months of 2023. And the majority of them are all used. Why? Because the used motorhome market fits within the payment budget that families can afford. That's the bottom line. They can afford $400, $500 a month, not $1,000, $1,200 a month. That's the biggest issue. So Winnebago closing their plant, closing the plant that did Class B motorhomes and some Class Cs and stuff, that signals that Winnebago is raising the white flag. Like, we can't compete and get these things sold. So they're going to build less and build them all out of Forest City, Iowa again, because that's where they originally were doing it. Go back to the drawing board. How do we get them less expensive? Well, that's hard to do until Ford, because the biggest reason why motorhomes have shot up in price is Ford, Chevy, Ram, Mercedes, Freightliner all have jacked their prices up on their chassis, and they haven't come down. Not to any significance. You're talking about manufacturers of motorhomes are paying close to triple what they normally do for a chassis. In some cases, they are paying 4 times more than what they were in 2019. So what really is going to happen, folks, so a lot of you are, well, then my motorhome's worth a whole lot more money than what you say it is. No, the motorhome has to be priced right. It can't be priced out of significance. Okay? Because there's guys out there that complain to me all the time, I can't sell my Beaver motorhome. Why can't I sell my Beaver Marquee? Well, you got it for 200 grand. It's really a $50,000 motorhome. No, it's not. You know, it's got a 600 horsepower motor, side mounted radiator. It's a, you know what this cost me back in 2003? Okay. And they don't build them like this anymore. Yeah, your roof leaked. You have a lot of delamination because that was kind of normal after 20 years of being a motorhome. That's the problem. Right? But if they have it priced according to the market, they're moving them fast and they're selling fast. I just watched a couple that listed their Class C motorhome for actual real market value and sold it in 2 days to a private party. Of course, they didn't sell it to a dealer because a dealer would have had to purchase it for less than market value, but they sold it right away, like 2 days gone. There's people who have their motorhomes online for way more money, and they get upset because they can't sell them, or people make them offers to the reality of the market. But I'm getting off track a little bit. So going back to it, it means that we're at a crossroads with motorhomes, new motorhomes. I believe, and this is my belief, just based on this information, is we are going to lose, more than likely we are going to lose half of our motorhome manufacturers, half of our motorhome brands by the end of 2025. Whatever we see now, we're going to lose half. Now, that doesn't mean that warranties won't be covered or anything else, because the big mothership companies will still be around. Forest River, Thor, Winnebago, they're going to make it through all this. They're going to be able to supply the warranty. It ain't going to be like 08, 09 where you had Monaco go out of business and Fleetwood go out of business. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be totally different. The motherships are too big. They're just going to start canceling brands. So it won't affect a warranty. If you want to go buy a Thor Palazzo as an example, and Palazzo gets canceled next December, you're still going to have a warranty. You're still going to get taken care of. But I think what's going to happen is instead of having two brands of motorhomes in a market, so I'll give you a great example. Let's use a travel trailer example. Rockwood and Flagstaff by Forest River are the same identical product. Same. But one says Flagstaff, one says Rockwood. One is at dealer A, the other one's across the street at dealer B. I think what's going to occur is you're only going to have one dealer per market that's going to have new motorhomes. Maybe two if someone's carrying a different manufacturer. I believe the days of having Forester and Sunseeker, Four Winds and Chateau, the days of having Hurricane and Windsport are going to be gone soon. It's going to be one brand per segment per manufacturer. And I think it needs to happen. I think it needs to go back to that, because that's the only way that you're going to be able, the manufacturer's going to be able to stay in business, number one, and number two, until the cost of the actual chassis go down, it's going to be rough. So until next time, toolkit and sense of humor, folks.